viewers. My name is Charles Kumolu. I'm the Deputy Editor of Sunday Vanguard. With me here in the studio is Mr. Chukwuka Monye, a presidential aspirant on the platform of Africa Democratic Congress. Mr. Chukwuka Monye is here to tell Nigerians about his aspiration, his plans, and his prospects. Mr. Chukwuka Monye, it's good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, why are you in this race?
So, I'm in this race because it was important for me to do something about the state of things in the country.
Yeah.
I realized that quite a number of people have complained, have lamented, and I saw a vicious cycle of just complaining and no action.
Yeah.
And I felt I needed to do something about it. I think more importantly is the fact that I just feel like we have lost the dignity of the human being, the Nigerian human being, and that it's something I would love to restore. Not on a personal or individual level, Nigerians, but even as a country, where now holding a green passport is nothing exciting when you travel. So at the heart of it, to restore the dignity of Nigeria and her people is at the core of my interest.
Yeah.
But I would also say that I'm aware that, you know, restoring dignity is what you and I understand.
Yeah.
But what does it mean to, you know, to the average person?
Yeah.
It's really to alleviate poverty. Things are bad. The poverty rate is alarming. Insecurity, education, healthcare, law enforcement, just name it. Almost in every facet where we have problems. And I think that there are problems that, you know, some people ask me questions sometimes, oh, but have I worked in government? And I say, working in government is not an advantage in the current structure.
Yeah. If
you work in government, you get clouded, you get compromised. But if you come from an outside looking in, it's an advantage for me to not come from government. Now, do I know enough about government to be able to influence and impact change? Yes. So to answer your question, it's really because I want to contribute the skills that I've acquired over the last 20 years plus, you know, in the transformation of the country.
You're quite young, and it's different from what Nigerians, what they are used to, what they see all the time in every election cycle. Who's this young Nigerian who wants to disrupt, quote unquote, the system?
Yes, I am young.
Yeah.
I think it's an advantage.
Yeah.
I think many times, and if we've heard it from some politicians, you know, that politics is not, you know, it's not given. I mean, power is not given. It's taken. But the truth is, if the youth want it, they must have representation. Yeah. Right? And this is not even an issue of, okay, it's just youth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not youth without value. It's not youth without a strong value proposition. Yeah. We're saying this is someone who's competent, okay, and will give anybody a run for their money in terms of his capability to actually transform the country. And why do I say that? I've spent the last 20 years, you know, building businesses, transforming businesses, mentoring people, building capacities, you know, getting involved in, you know, helping small business owners. Yeah. There's physical, you know, impact in the economy. If I mention a few, you would be shocked that, oh, this guy was even involved in some of those projects. Even down to little things like doing impact assessment of a sports festival. We would look at it from, you know, analytical perspective. You have the likes of Everyday Supermarket, House of Tara, Laviana. There are many people that If you speak to them, they'll say, oh, my story cannot be told without this guy. So my question is, if with my own resources, we've transformed these many lives and these many businesses, why won't people say, okay, he's young and he has capacity, he has the international relations, he has access to foreign investors, why won't you give it to him? So I'm young, but I see that as an advantage. I think that, I mean, you and I know that the kind of issues and problems we have today,
Yeah.
it's not the type that you need someone who's agile, active, to be able to actually embark on the kind of transformation that is required.
Yeah. But looking at the Nigerian context, you said that your age is an advantage.
Yes.
But history tells us that in the Nigerian context, belonging to the younger generation doesn't really count for young presidential aspirants. What do you make of that?
Things have changed.
Yeah.
So over the years, that young population has grown.
Yeah.
Today, that young population is the majority. It's not like 20 years ago. The young population, that youthful bracket, is the majority. Now, it is practically impossible for someone of another generation to be able to serve me effectively. Why? You cannot feel my pain. You cannot feel my shoe in the way it hurts. Otherwise, you will understand that, okay, young people may not like agriculture in terms of hard farming, but they would like to process food because it's cool. They would like to export it because it will help them to engage them with international markets. That's cool. I can relate with that because that's what I would do. So I'm not going to tell every young person to go and get their hoe and cutlass because it doesn't resonate with them. Similarly, I would look at the digital media space. I would think about, okay, how do I look at my youth as a burgeoning, a massive workforce for digital space? How can I even export them, for instance, their work and their services, create revenue and tell them, come on, X% is our own as a country, but I'm getting you clients. There are all sorts of creative things you can do because I can think like them. But the moment they don't have that representation in terms of who will lead them, there will be a disconnect. And you need to understand why the disconnect exists. It's generational. They cannot think the way you think. No matter how you try, even for me right now, my young daughters, I can't think the way they think. I have a young daughter that is 6 years old that comes into a vehicle and expects the vehicle to have Wi-Fi. Because she has grown up in a digital world. Now, someone like her, if you give her the opportunity to create something or create a vehicle, she will create a vehicle that has Wi-Fi in it. That's her generation. So, that disconnect is huge. Where they are saying wait for your turn, where they are saying you are the leader of tomorrow. But what I'm saying now is our future is now. I'm not leader of tomorrow again. I'm leader of today. We are going to come in and we're going to lead the country that we belong to.
Yeah. Every political environment has its own peculiar ingredients.
Sure.
You get? Like in Nigerian politics now, there are certain dynamics that drive Nigerian politics. And if you're talking about these dynamics, you talk about the money factor, which is universal anyway,
Yes.
but the Nigerian blend is peculiar.
I agree.
We have ethnicity, we have religion. So how are you going to navigate through these dynamics?
Good question. Yeah. Charles, you see, the thing about the beauty about innovation, the beauty about strategy is that when you think based on the realities of the current time, right? So you've laid certain factors. You've laid down ethnicity, religion, all these different factors. That's the reality of our current time. But the beauty is that there's a solution when you put all these things together. I'm an innovation strategist, right? That's my profession. That's what I studied in school.
Okay.
So for me, it's actually exciting because now I'm doing things that I would not normally do. Some people came and they said, you came out, you announced on the 15th of January, you didn't even say the party. Now that's different. Some people were angry, some politicians were angry.
Yeah.
Now you don't understand. That shows that you are not experienced. But they didn't understand that that's my own strategy. Why did I do it? I'm a newbie in the political space. If I come out with a party name, you would know the party, but you will not know me. So let me announce and come out first. Now, that debate, debate about my not coming out with party was recognition. I achieved my objective because you had time to talk about me for a couple of weeks. So now you now know who I am as Chukwuka Monye before I wear the party hat. That is strategy, and that's how we have to think about these different elements that you have mentioned. We typically think about your constituency in terms of geography. Who are you going to deliver?
Geopolitics.
But I don't think that way. I cannot afford to think that way. Yes, I'm grounded. I'm in Delta State. But I'm looking at Nigeria, it's 36 states. Now, the reason why I cannot think geopolitically, two reasons. Number one, thinking geopolitically limits your thinking. Number two, I represent a generation and a segment that gives me an advantage to think more demographically than geographically. If I think in terms of the youth across the country, I have a larger constituency. So I cannot think in terms of geography, but demography. Now, the moment I think in terms of demography, you see that a lot of these biases are begin to break. Because the demography that we're talking about, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, they're all intermarrying at that age level, that group. They don't care. You have Christians and Muslims that live together. They're not interested in all these issues. So I talked about disconnect earlier because it's another generation that is actually suggesting some of these elements that you have mentioned. Young people don't care. They just want to work. They just want a good living. They just want a decent life. And that's my own priority. So when you ask me who are those that are my constituents, I will tell you that they are the youth, women, and small business owners. Those are my priorities. They are the people I've known for the last 20 years. The moment I think that way, I'll begin to break down some of these factors that you've mentioned.
Yeah. Now, I still want to ask why I'm focusing on you. Mm-hmm. We'll have different segments of this interview.
Sure.
Why I'm focusing on you is because would I say you are the newest kid on the block, or you are just the new kid on the block? Okay. So we have names like Atiku, we have Tinubu, Anyim, Pius Anyim, and other big names across other parties, And this is you. People hardly heard about your name before now and all that. Are you not intimidated by these established names in this contest?
I asked somebody a question. The person, this is someone I respect, is in government.
Yeah.
And he said, you are new. And he used an illustration. He said himself that what will I do differently from him? And I asked him a question. I said, one of my strategies to transforming Nigeria and reforming the economy is to create a new economy while restructuring the old economy. creating new economy and creating new, industries and all that is what I do. Reorganizing and restructuring is a skill that I've developed for 20 years. So I looked at him and I said, sir, which one can you do? The fact that you have been able to issue contracts for road does not make you competent to transform a nation. It doesn't give you access to the foreign direct investors. It doesn't give you the diplomatic skills. It doesn't give you the organizational management skills. It doesn't make you an inspirational leader. So I looked at all of these things and I said to myself, okay, just perhaps I listened to these people saying I should wait. Wait for how long? I'm already getting gray hair and I'm young. At what point do you say, okay, it's now permissible?
You're 70.
When I'm 70. No, I need to be energized. I need to be energetic. Yeah. I wake up in the morning and I jog 5 kilometers, sometimes 10 kilometers, so that my head is buzzing. I'm able to respond to things quickly. I'm able to build teams. I'm able to work with young people. I imagine a cabinet of nobody more than 50 years old, of young, dynamic people from beautiful schools in Nigeria and abroad, great experiences. That's not what you're going to get with any of these guys. It's impossible. But imagine that the entire country is energized because there is a new crop of leaders that are energetic, excited. I see it is possible. You will be happy. It's different. Mind you, these young people I'm talking about, people that already lead, in different corporate entities and in different spaces. Yeah. They just need a platform. I want to create more billionaires. It's not okay, not acceptable that we have only a handful of billionaires in a country of 200 million people. If you had the access, you, Charles, will be a billionaire. Why won't you open it up and give people the opportunity? And it's there. It's not, nobody's stopping us. It's for us to make a decision of what we really want.
Your party, the ADC, we also have people in your party who are also eyeing the same ticket.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we have someone who, even before the timetable was released by INEC, long before now, he had indicated interest, Mogalo, Chukwuka, So for Kingsley Mogalo, having people like this vying for the same tickets in your party, what makes you confident that you're going to get this ticket?
So for me, one of the exciting things about ADC is that it has intellectual, it has technocrats, it has very great minds such as Professor Kingsley Mogalo, and quite a number of people. There's Dr. Ayodele Favor, quite a few good people. And what I like about it, just a few weeks ago, I hosted all the aspirants in my home. And all I could imagine was, I'm not sure another party, I've seen another party where the country's issues were being deliberated on. We had more or less like a brainstorming session on resolving Nigeria's issues, and it was refreshing, And the reason why I'm bringing this example up is, whilst on the one hand we are all competing for the same seats, it is also refreshing that should you not get it, you have a lot of people, quality people to complement you and for you to support. That's the thing about party. Party is like you've built a family, but it's a family of like minds, right? So I have to look at it from that angle of the value of, the collective, rather than the value of just one individual.
Now, going into this race, what would you say is the first thing you're going to do if eventually you become the president?
You want the real thing? I know if you
Yeah.
talk the real thing. But I'll tell you some of the key things.
This question, I'm indirectly asking you the things you think are the most pressing problems now
So
in
I'll tell you
Nigeria
the
that
vision.
needs urgent attention.
Yes. So the vision
Yeah.
for 2023
Yeah.
is built around a few pillars.
Okay.
I've talked about restoring the dignity of Nigeria and the people.
Okay.
What it means is alleviating poverty,
Yeah.
job creation. Now, ultimately, that's the goal. But the truth is, and Nigerians have to listen to this, you cannot alleviate poverty and create jobs unless the foundation is reorganized. If it could be done, it would have been done. What do I mean by reorganizing the foundations? Number one, deal with insecurity. Nobody's bringing in any investment. Nobody's building in new businesses. Nobody's building new businesses if they don't feel safe. That's number one. Number two, education. Majority of educated Nigerians are not employable. Not to talk of those that are not yet educated. So it's a crisis looming. So in my economic transformation agenda, I already see a problem. Because as I create the industries, where are the people? But yet, I still have millions of people. How ironic is that? We're saying we're 200 million people, and I'm saying I don't have workers. Why? Because you have not trained them well for me. And those are some of my pains, because I know the value of what the young person can bring. But nobody has prioritized them. Look at ASU. Don't even get me started. We're playing with people's lives. You know? So I've talked about insecurity, education, healthcare, and then law enforcement, the judiciary. Sort out all these things, and then you'll see things will begin to transform. Those that come and tell you, oh, I'm going to give you 10 million jobs, 20 million jobs, where are they? It's impossible.
But regarding insecurity, which obviously is Nigeria's biggest headache now, in specific terms, how are you going to tackle insecurity practically?
First of all, I have to put a caveat that security is not one of those things where you announce your solution. It is no longer a security solution the moment it's in public domain. Yeah, but there are certain things that are also obvious. Okay. So one is employing more technology, whether it's in surveillance or whether it's in all these things that give you visibility to what's going on. It's not okay to say, oh, that you cannot view or see where the insurgency is occurring. No, not in this day and age. Even Google Earth can show you certain things, right? So that's one. Two is social security. People are poor. People are idle. There's a saying that goes, the idle, mind is the devil's workshop. They will look for what to do now. Poverty is in the land. So the reason why I'm anxious about education and all these other things is because I want to be able to make more young people engaged. But let's leave social security. Let's leave technology. Let's talk about the security apparatus itself. How well equipped are they? How well empowered and compensated are they? How well trained are they? These are things that must be put on the front burner. They will be made priority in my administration. I want the same way I am talking about dignity, of the average Nigerian. I also want dignity in our security forces. Back in the days, ECOMOG days, I used to feel strong myself because I knew that Nigeria had a, rock solid armed forces. It used to give me pride. Where did we go wrong? What has happened? So these are different elements I have to look at. It's multifaceted, it's multidimensional. But these are some of the areas that I would look at.
When you talk about politics in Nigeria, what comes to the mind? You talk about partisan politics, what comes to the mind? PDP, APC.
Correct.
These two parties. And a lot of people are fixated on them, Now, yours is ADC. Are you not concerned that you may not have the prospects if eventually you get the ticket? Are you not concerned that these two parties are established? Yours, if you permit me to say, yours is hardly known. So how do you intend to fly? Are you not concerned?
When I was looking at different parties, I was looking for a party that would do two things. Number one, allow for youth expression and participation. Number two, give me a reasonable chance of securing the ticket. It was in the course of consultation that I found out that ADC has this thing they call the 35-35-30. They prioritize women and youth and people with disability. Incredible. Incredible. And they're encouraging young people to run for office at all levels. There were a number of things I didn't know about ADC. If you go and check some of the INEC details, you'll find out that for several of the elections, historically, they've come third. They're just not loud. They're just not noisemakers. Now, for you to have presence in 773 local government areas out of 774, I think that is a very good job. So for me, it was almost like, okay, which platform can all the young people rally around?
That's why you opted for
and
ADC.
That's why I opted for ADC.
Okay, fine. We thank you for talking to us. Thank you. We look forward to having you again, and we wish you well in your aspiration. Vanguard will always be here for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.